What's up, everybody? This is Master Ian Gamer, and we just got perhaps the biggest Overwatch hero leak of all time. A leak which came directly from Blizzard, mind you, and has revealed not only the in-game appearance of the upcoming new Overwatch 2 hero Wuyang, but also his entire kit. An in-depth look into his entire kit, every single ability and perk he has. And so, of course, in this video, we're going to go ahead and talk about this leak and run through everything we now know about the new hero, Wuyang. Now, for context, this information actually comes from an officially hosted survey for the upcoming new hero, who, mind you, isn't actually in-game yet, or at least hasn't been made playable, and, we haven't had the hero trial just yet. But apparently, there's a way to access a Wuyang hero survey, which is apparently a survey that was going to get sent out, presumably after the hero trial, which we know now starts on August 14th, because the questions in this survey asked the player their thoughts on having played against Wuyang, and in the process of doing so, not only shows off his in-game model, but even gives a full in-depth look at his list of abilities, which we are going to go ahead and look at now. So jumping right on in with his primary weapon, we have the Quan staff. I may not be pronouncing that correctly. Forgive me if I am not. But this staff fires a damaging water orb, hold to control its trajectory and empower its explosion. Just based on the description, I'm kind of having a hard time of envisioning this. So it shoots out an orb of damaging water, and you can hold it to maybe change the sort of arc of its trajectory, and then it becomes more powerful the longer you hold it. So perhaps kind of like a Symmetra charged shot, but with like an arc of it, since it mentions trajectory. I don't know. It'll be an interesting one to see for sure. And then the alternate fire is the restorative stream. Place a passive healing stream on an ally, hold on the target to manually heal at an improved rate, consuming resource. So this one is kind of interesting too. You place the healing stream on an ally, which makes me think of Zenyatta's healing orb. Then you can hold it on the target manually to improve the rate. So it's this sort of like Zen's orb, but you can like continuously activate it by holding it to gain a boost of healing. I think that's how it works based on this description. I will say these are very interesting primary and secondary fires we have here. I am very curious to actually try them out for myself because they definitely sound a lot more complex than a typical primary and secondary fire, but maybe the wording here is just sort of misleading, and who knows, maybe it will actually be simpler once we actually get our hands on playing it. Probably. But either way, an interesting combo there for his primary and secondary, with both a way to deal damage and heal. Then, moving on to his activated abilities, first up, Guardian Wave. Send a water wave forward that increases the amount of healing received by allies and knocks back enemies. So this seems to be just an AoE knockback that also applies the Ana allied biotic grenade effect, but itself seems not to heal based on this description. It just boosts the amount of healing people receive without actually dealing healing itself. So again, similar to Ana's biotic grenade, it's like a hybrid sort of offensive with the knockback and supportive with the healing boost. And then his second ability, his mobility mechanic, Rushing Torrent, ride water to move faster and jump higher. Now, this is going to be interesting. I mentioned in my speculation video that he might have some sort of like surfing mobility mechanic, and it seems like that's exactly what he's going to have here. Now, I don't know how long this is going to last. Probably not indefinitely. I'm going to assume you activate it, you can use it for a duration of time, and then once you stop using it, it goes on cooldown, and it doesn't seem like you gain any sort of like other effects, like no damage immunity. It's just move faster and jump higher, in which case it's purely mobility based. Then, moving on to his ultimate ability, Tidal Blast. Protect an ally or yourself with water that detonates after a short duration. The explosion knocks down enemies and massively heals the host target. So again, this is an interesting one. It almost seems like a Life Weaver life grip that you can also apply to yourself, but rather than pulling the person, it just sort of shields them in place, massively healing them, and then initiating a knockback after a short duration. A very interesting one. I am really curious to see the visuals for a lot of these abilities, because they all sound like, being with the whole like water motif, that they're going to have some really interesting visuals tied to them, and I'm excited to get to see those. But that does actually do it for his kit. He has a relatively simple kit, only the primary, secondary fire, the 2 activated abilities, and an ultimate, plus the base support passive. He doesn't have any unique passive to him outside of just the generic support one. So on paper, this kit is pretty simple, but especially if we look at the weapon again, it does seem like there's a lot of nuance and like little mechanics sort of integrated into these few abilities themselves. And I gotta say, this makes me very excited to get to play him. These abilities seem really interesting, and he definitely seems like he could have a pretty fun and engaging playstyle, so I am eager to get to try him out now. Moving on to the perks, though, which of course were also leaked. First up, we have the minor perks, which are selectable at level 2. Overflow, gain 10 ammo and 33% healing resource when rushing torrent is activated. So this was interesting because this actually tells us a bit more about his weapon. So we know the ammo must mean the damaging water orb, so that aspect of his weapon has an ammo tied to it, which wasn't otherwise specified in the weapon itself. And also the healing thing is going to have a resource, so perhaps similar to like Ilari's healing beam, where you have like a healing meter that gets depleted as you use it. That's interesting because it gives a bit more insight into how the weapon itself actually works. And then balance, when you deal damage with water orbs, increase restorative stream's passive healing by 40% for 2 seconds. So that's just a bit more weapon dynamic stuff there, where it's basically you deal more damage, you also heal more. Interesting how both of these more or less seem to affect his main weapon as opposed to his abilities. Granted, Overflow is tied to rushing torrent, but either way, it's an interesting sort of focus on his main weapon here for both these minor perks. Then moving on to the major perks, Ebb and Flow. Guardian Wave rewinds to its starting location, deals 50% decreased damage while rewinding. Now again, this gives us some more interesting insight into the Guardian Wave ability, because this clarifies that it does indeed deal some damage. It's not purely knockback on enemies, it also has some damage, since that damage then gets halved as it then comes back. And basically this means it just goes out like a wave, and then back in like a wave. So it's just like a double application of the wave basically, but reduced on the second time when it's coming back. Then, for Falling Rain, simultaneously control 3 water orbs that deal 60% increased damage and have 25% decreased empowered explosion radius. So again, this is specifically for his primary fire, and seems to make it where instead of firing a single water orb at a time, he now fires 3 that each deal 60% less damage and have decreased explosion radius, but there's 3 of them, so I guess situationally that might be preferable over just the one more powerful one. Again, I feel like it's going to take actually playing this hero and this primary weapon in game to get a real sense for how these 2 versions of it compare to each other. But nonetheless, there are the perks for him right there. And so yeah, that is the overview of Wuyang. We now know his abilities as officially stated, accidentally mind you, by Blizzard, because again, this is an official Blizzard survey, which anyone can actually access via the Blizzard website. I have no idea how long this link is still going to be up and accessible. I'll try to have a link to it in the description of this video in case you want to check it out for yourself. I will mention, if you do want to see his abilities, be sure to hit yes on the first page you see when it asks if you've encountered Wuyang. If you don't hit yes, it'll just exit out of the survey and you won't get to see his abilities. But either way, I've already shown you everything the survey has here in this video, so you can just use this as reference if you want. And I will say I'm kind of shocked that Blizzard had this leak in the way they did. Usually leaks like this are a lot more dubious. There was an actual leaking of these perks a couple days ago when the mid-season patch first dropped. They were data mined from the game itself, and I wasn't sure whether I really wanted to talk about them given the kind of dubious nature of those leaks. But these leaks are just straight up from Blizzard's website. Clearly, we're not supposed to have access to this yet, but Blizzard dropped the ball by making this accessible, so that's kind of on them. So yeah, that's why I'm totally willing to talk about these, because this is Blizzard just leaking their own stuff, basically. As a reminder, again, we will be getting to play Wuyang for ourselves on August 14th. That is when the hero trial for him will be starting, and it'll be running for basically a long weekend then, over that upcoming weekend after the 14th. And we'll also be getting another look at Wuyang, probably like his gameplay trailer and probably the intended official reveal of his abilities and such during the China Joy event, which starts on August 1st, so that's coming up fairly soon. But either way, yeah, here's all the information on Wuyang. We've already got it. It's here. This is the hero. I gotta admit, I am rather excited to get to play him. I think his kit and abilities sound really, really fun, and I'm really interested in seeing how they work. But I would love to know your thoughts on all this in the comments down below. Are you enticed by this list of hero abilities and perks that we now know are going to be Wuyang's kit? Do you like his character design now that we get a proper look at his in-game model as well? Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, be sure to subscribe, hit up that bell icon, follow me on X, and join my Discord server to hang out and never miss any of my future Overwatch 2 news streams and other content. Special thanks to my YouTube channel members who help make these videos possible, and if you'd like to join them to earn some cool rewards, then just hit that join button down below. And be sure to check out my second channel, Suki MIG, where I focus on a little side project of mine. These days, I upload much more frequently over there. It's a little side project of mine, and I think you all would love checking it out. I will have that linked in the cards as well. And otherwise, this is Master Ian Gamer signing off. Until next time, have a great day.